Is that good? Can everyone hear me? I assumed you could. It's just that at the beginning of every reading, the reader asks if you can hear them, so I don't want to break from tradition. I'm really happy to be here in Flagstaff. I've had a great time in Arizona for the last week or so. I'm a bookseller in Texas now, in Houston, but I lived here for many years, so it's wonderful to be back. This is my book. It's called The Sadness. It's my first novel. I put an Oprah Book Club sticker on it. I do work in a bookstore, and so I figured out you could just peel the stickers off the Oprah books. Took me a while to realize that. It's kind of a shame. I mean, you know, being able to peel a sticker off is one of its fundamental attributes, so I'm surprised it took me so long to figure it out. But it's great. You can go to your local bookstore. You can find the Oprah books. You can pull them off. You can deface them, and you can create your own Oprah Book Club collection. So please include mine. It's a dramatic beer sip. I'm going to read from the very beginning of this book, and then I'm going to read from a little later in it, but I will start at the start. The book opens with a letter from one aspiring filmmaker to a considerably more successful filmmaker. It's actually based on a real guy, the filmmaker he's writing this letter to, a director named Todd Field, who is based in Maine, who directed In the Bedroom and Little Children, and is currently directing the adaptation of Purity by some guy named Jonathan Franzen, whoever that is, and was also an actor in Stanley Kubrick's film Eyes Wide Shut. The letter goes like this. Dear Sir, I write to you regarding my film, The Glazed Shelves, so forgive me if I stumble. Whenever one describes cinematic artistry of the highest order, words seem inadequate. Nevertheless, I must attempt to convey the nature of my film, the end result being that you, justifiably impressed, will provide the necessary support to finish it. To summarize the plot of The Glazed Shelves proves difficult, for the film's greatness lies not in its story, but rather its atmosphere, evoking the same decadence as Fellini, the same humanity as Renoir, the same dread as Haneke. It centers on a young man named Aaron, a resident of Portland, Maine. He goes to a high school where idiots surround him, wealthy idiots who imbibe spirits, ingest pharmaceuticals, and harass Aaron for not wanting anything to do with their foul preoccupations. Aaron, being intellectually beyond these people, desires some form of stronger connection, to be around somebody who respects him and wants to hear what he has to say, instead of being around his foolish peers who don't appreciate his originality and his genius. Enter Natalie, whom Aaron meets and befriends. She is the opposite of those cretins who crammed the hallways of his high school, and she bonds with him through a shared love of cinema. The film is an ode to their beautiful, pure friendship. Now, as to the reason The Glazed Shelves sits unfinished, I began it several years ago when I myself was in high school. I played the role of Aaron, and my best friend Evelyn played the role of Natalie. We shot roughly half of the film before unforeseen circumstances tragically ended the production. I had given up on the project until this past May when I saw news of Darren Stanford's success with Land Without Water at the Cannes Film Festival. Now that I have seen his film, I must reunite Evelyn and myself to finish The Glazed Shelves post-haste. I write to you because in addition to being an Oscar-nominated filmmaker, you are a Maine dweller, and you will feel an instant connection to my material. Furthermore, I am aware that you helped Darren Stanford secure funds for Land Without Water. Clearly, you like to help Maine-based filmmakers. Stanford and I are both from Portland, you know. Fairness, therefore, dictates that you also help finance my film, which, I must add, is far superior to Stanford's. I mean, seriously. How could you have lent your support to such a waste? I expect more from you, given your association with Stanley Kubrick. Surely, you are able to understand the difference between artistry and hackery. Not every day does a filmmaker emerge from Portland, Maine, which is the reason it's especially important to choose the right one when the opportunity arises. You threw your support behind the wrong one. But worry not, I am here to redeem you. Helping me finish the Glazed Shelves will go a long way toward rectifying your mistake. Now, as to what I require from you. I require help securing funds somewhere in the ballpark of $4 million. We can sit down over a budget and discuss specifics later. I require 70mm cameras, sound recording equipment, and access to a first-rate editing mixing studio. I require a crew, although a skeleton crew will suffice, perhaps members of the crew you worked with on Little Children, or if you're still in touch with any of the people Kubrick used for Eyes Wide Shut, they'll probably do. I require a letter from you, sent to people in positions of power at Focus Features and Sony Pictures Classics, vouching for the greatness of my film. Or, if you believe the film festival route better, I require you to submit the film on my behalf to Cannes, Sundance, Berlin, Venice, and all the others worthy of my achievement. On these points, I am unbending. So if you do not agree, we should sever our association immediately. Please let me know when we can begin our work together to complete my masterpiece. Sincerely, Maxwell Enright, writer-director, The Glazed Shelves. So he's a little full of himself, huh? The proper narrative of the book, that's the introduction to the book, and the proper narrative begins 5 years later. Max, of course, as you may be able to guess, is now closer to completing this masterpiece of his. Even worse, the actress he mentions, Evelyn, has recently vanished. And so, of course, that throws a wrench in his dream of finishing this film. Meanwhile, he's a misanthrope. He lives alone in the house that he grew up in. Both of his parents are gone for reasons you learn in the book. And he's not doing too well. He is not, however, the main character in this book. The main character, or sort of the point of view character, is this woman named Kelly, who is Max's twin sister, also nearing 30. She arrives back home in Portland, Maine after many years of drifting kind of aimlessly through the American Southwest. And she is broke, she's homeless, she's unemployed, and she is returning to Portland, Maine as sort of a last-ditch effort to get some money. She thinks that there's some money there for her. And the two of them are forced to team up to solve the mystery of this missing actress. There's a lot of film noir stuff in the book, if you like that. There's some mystery. I like cheesy genre tropes from films, so there's some of that stuff in here. And it's a mystery for people who like books where people mostly just wander around and think a lot. So I don't know if there's anyone out there who fits that description. I'm going to read one more section from the book. It shouldn't take me too long. I don't want to take a lot of your time. And this will go back a little bit and talk about the core relationship in this book between the two twin siblings, and also goes a little bit into what happened to their mother, who is kind of a ghost that hangs over this book. Mom was young when she fell in love with Miles Bennett, a member of one of Portland's oldest and wealthiest families, owners and founders of Oaker's Dairy, which is a real thing in Portland, by the way, and I really hope that they sue me, because that would be fantastic for book sales. Mom was 19 when she met him, 20 when Miles bought for her a 2-bedroom apartment in a decent part of town, 21 when Max and Kelly were born. For 3 years, Miles hung around, never moving in but coming over a couple times a week for fun with Mom and paternal indifference elsewhere. But then, when Mom was 24, Miles left her for another woman, someone a little richer, a grad student at Boston College, and someone the Bennetts approved of, more than they approved of wild, dingy Mom, anyway. Every week, an envelope of cash arrived in Mom's mailbox, the return address a lawyer's office in Hartford. It was hush money, stay out of my life and I'll make it worth your while money, that sort of thing. Just enough so Mom never worked anything more than the occasional part-time job, but not so much that they could ever live in a better house or take trips or own more than a couple pairs of shoes. And what did Mom care? She was barely around, preferring to spend money on herself than on her children. But didn't she have a duty as a mother? Please. That hardly stopped her from leaving town for several weekends each year. She would knock on a neighbor's door or call a coworker during her rare periods of employment, and eyes leaking, Mom would lie about a sick family member or close friend, and then once this almost stranger had agreed to watch her children, she would drive to wherever, some friend's apartment in Burlington or a music festival near UMass. When Kelly turned 10, babysitters became unnecessary. "You're old enough to look after your brother," Mom told her daughter. Mom lived a throwback fantasy, pining for a lifestyle to belong to something that no longer existed. She fancied herself some kind of wild child, an artist, although she never considered working at it. As a result of this immaturity, the house wound up resembling a bohemian college girl's dorm room, decorated with bead curtains, posters for esoteric films from the 60s and 70s, record covers pinned to the walls, hookahs, pretty much the same way it looks now under Max's care. Most nights, Mom fed her children Thai takeout served on paper plates. Mom acted like a friend or, at best, a rebellious older sister, which made Kelly feel like she was always waiting for her real mom to show up, instead of this child playing dress-up. But Max? Hell, Max loved it. Why wouldn't he have? When he started writing scripts, Mom encouraged him, as any good parent would. Follow your dreams, be true to yourself, that kind of shit. When teachers tried to make Max do schoolwork, he became combative. But whenever a counselor called home to voice concern, Mom acted polite on the phone, only to later tell her son, "Don't listen to those idiots. They don't know genius when they see it." By senior year, it had become so much worse. Sometimes Mom became so high on the idea of artistic expression that she would write notes excusing Max from school whenever he preferred to stay home and work on his art. His grades suffered, but what did he care? He got to watch movies all day and write his screenplays. But Kelly could tell something had changed for Mom, too. Then, with the March sunlight starting to melt the snow and thaw the ground, Mom left for one of her trips, telling Kelly, "Look after your brother, I'll be gone for the weekend." Because Mom always said to look after Max, Kelly barely took it seriously, going about her usual business of watching bad television and hanging out with the increasingly dramatic Penelope Hayward, her best friend whose early acceptance into Columbia, about which she wouldn't shut the fuck up, had not slowed her acquisition of an insane number of extracurricular activities, including dull stuff like the editor-in-chief of the video yearbook. Kelly, on the other hand, had been accepted into the considerably less impressive University of Arizona, but whatever. She couldn't wait to get out of Maine and into the sun, so she bided her time doing the minimum of what was expected of her. The first indication that something had gone awry, that Mom's latest trip wasn't just another trip, came when one of Mom's friends knocked on the door Sunday afternoon, claiming to have lost contact with Mom, who had recently been rambling on about some guy she met. Raphael, maybe? "You never met him?" the friend asked. Then, frowning, the friend, was her name Melanie? Added, "Neither have I." Kelly tried calling, but Mom never answered, and Kelly refused to leave dumb, desperate messages. Monday morning arrived, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, and finally on Thursday, Max asked what was going on, whether Kelly had heard from Mom or anything. And Kelly said she had to go on a job interview in Massachusetts. "It's going well, I guess." They needed her to stick around. Was this what Mom always meant when she told Kelly to look after her brother? Maybe Mom really meant for Kelly to just lie. On Friday afternoon, the weekly envelope arrived, stuffed with $400, and Kelly put it in her pocket and slid on a cardigan to walk the few blocks to TD Bank North. While outside the bank, finishing her cigarette in the cold sunlight of early spring, perched on the edge of the curb, her cell phone vibrated. Mom, wondering whether the money had arrived like usual. "Where are you?" Kelly asked. "I'm fine," Mom said, but Kelly could hear laughter in the background, And Mom's voice sounded more musical than usual. But things are pretty crazy here. I just want to make sure you remember to deposit the money. Why? Kelly asked, lighting another cigarette. Because, Mom said, it's important that you don't leave cash lying around. That's all, clipped, rhythmic. Kelly's hand shook. When are you coming home, she asked. I'll be home soon, Mom said. Things just got a little crazy. It's just a thing with a friend, but you'll remember to deposit the money before the bank closes today? Yes, Kelly said, I will. Okay, I love you, Mom said. Kelly swallowed and said, okay. Inside the bank, she asked the teller for the account balance. $1.34, the last transaction being a withdrawal of $240 from an ATM in Bedford, New Hampshire. Kelly thanked the teller and walked home with the cash still in her pocket. The bank closed at 6 p.m., and 20 minutes later, Kelly's phone shrieked again. I'm just wondering, Mom said, if you deposited the money, like everything, like we talked about. Mom, Kelly said, locked in the darkness of her bedroom now, sitting on the floor in the corner, I need to know when you're coming home. Listen, Mom said, her voice even stranger than before, like she was an actor playing Mom. Listen, I'll be honest with you. Remember my friend Melanie? Melanie's having some trouble, so I'm here trying to help. I just need... Melanie came to the house, Kelly said, and she's worried too. She doesn't know where you are. There was a pause. If I give you an address, Mom said, can you mail me the money overnight? If you don't come home, Kelly said, I'm calling the police. Okay, I'll come home tomorrow. Mom cleared her throat. But can you put Max on the phone real quick? No, I can't. I won't put Max on the phone. Put him on right now. No, Kelly repeated. And now, Mom said, but Kelly stayed strong. You want me to let Max talk to you when you sound like this? No, I won't do it. And I'll take his phone away too, so you can't call him. Kelly was trying not to cry. Mom was silent. You need to come home, Kelly said. Please, Max won't go to school. Not for the last week. He won't go. He doesn't need to go, Mom said. Yes, he needs to go, Kelly said. He's smarter than that, Mom said. And Kelly said, yeah? You want him to be a fuck-up like you? The silence on the other end of the phone made it clear to Kelly that she shouldn't have said this. But she felt unable to control herself anymore. And Kelly in that moment didn't care. She knew she should apologize, but she didn't apologize. Maybe compared with all the other things ever said by teenagers, this wasn't so bad. No different really from, I hate you, Mom, followed by the slamming of a bedroom door. Kelly, Mom said finally, her voice weak. Kelly snapped her phone shut and threw it across the room. Now, she wishes that Mom were the one who had hung up in anger, but it wasn't like that. It was Kelly who couldn't take another second, so she threw her mother across the room, snapped her mother's head off against the wall. Kelly never called the police. Instead, a week later, they called her. There had been an accident. It was April by then. When Max found out that Kelly had lied to him about the circumstances surrounding Mom's death, that there was no job interview, that Kelly had spent time on the phone with her, that all Mom wanted was money, that Mom had even wanted to talk to Max on the phone before Kelly took it away from him, he took it surprisingly well, nodding and shuffling to his bedroom, whose door he didn't even bother to slam. Kelly had felt too stunned to cry or get angry about the death, and perhaps Max felt the same way. Or maybe the funeral and the reality of being orphaned adults who still happened to linger in high school fused the siblings together. Maybe Max accepted Kelly's dishonesty simply because he had nobody else. In May, Max asked Kelly to be in his movie, The Glazed Shelves. A few days passed, and she heard nothing further about the movie or her part. She asked him when she was going to become a movie star and flipped her hair back, affecting a glamorous pose, the sort of silliness that usually would have amused him, but all humor had drained from her brother. Soon, Kelly discovered what the part was. She'd been playing it for a week. She woke in the middle of the night and saw Max at the end of her bed, a video camera glued to his hand. Kelly told him to get the fuck out of her room, then locked the door. She slept with the covers over her head and the blinds drawn. It wasn't anger, really. It was fear. He terrified her, and she avoided him, instead spending her time with all the willing kids around town, drinking and doing drugs and other stupid things teenagers do, but doing them with the desperation of somebody who understood genuine pain. She gained a reputation as the person who never wanted to stop, begging people not to leave her, to stay up with her all night. And maybe Kelly could have helped Max, but she was scared, drained. She had nothing to say to him, no way left to look after him. And now, some nights as sleep washes up around her body, Kelly hates herself for hiding and running from Max instead of trying to help. So, should she have stayed here in Portland? Should she have tried to look after her brother the way that Mom asked? Then again, who the fuck ever tried to look after Kelly? The answers to these questions and to all her other questions lurk somewhere in the darkness. Sometimes she brushes her fingertips against an answer as she reaches out, but she never grabs it, because sleep always comes and pulls her into blackness, and then the morning sun blares, evaporating what came before. Thanks.